It's your man File Shot and reporting on the Bamboozle Again News Network on the late night tip. I'm just gonna hop straight into it. It's amazing how I'm thinking of everything and nothing all at the same time. So I try to be consistent with these lives and whatnot, but I really had nothing to talk about because I want to talk about everything. So now I'm trying not to be all over the place. But I watched me and my daughter went to watch the Mission Impossible 3 joint, how AI takes over and uses people's fears that they've been kind of provocating to basically create a world that the AI wants, right? And I was just thinking about those who are called, chosen, the remnant. How we just sit all this world stuff out. You know what I mean? Of course, you do for you and yours, whatever your situation is, right? But what I perceive as they start fanning the flames of racial tension through various instances to invoke emotion, to chime you in, to get your energy into it, which I talked about in the previous video, to lead us all roads leading to Rome, the beast system, since the path to salvation and everlasting life is narrow. I stay aware of stuff, but you ain't gonna find me throwing no rocks at no police or like doing the Black Lives Matter stuff when they were setting bricks up, instigating, what's the Soros people and the Antifa people to instigate, this uh, artificially manufactured, um, you know, thing that looks like a black uprising, but it's all puppeteered at the top. It's all done manufacturedly. I'm losing my words here because they're pushing you to believe and emotionally react to circumstances and situations that they've created, even such as with the economy. I really stopped worrying about money and the illusionary aspect of it, and somehow all my bills get paid. It takes, I don't even know how to describe it. I've just became this. You know what I mean? As we try to adhere to the law, statutes, and commandments, all this stuff is prophesied or written to take place. But I have no power to influence it. We just get removed out of it. Even if you look at all the time since we've been here in Babylon, all of our efforts, no matter who they came from, where they was at, what the time period was, failed to get free. Now maybe individuals or small clusters, um, but in mass, it's not meant to happen. That's why we can't do it. Now other people can do it and fight back. We're the only people who can't fight back, and if we did, we still lose. We don't have enough guns. We're not used to working together. There's no moral or spiritual component. Our families are basically in ruins for the most part. So what are we going to base any uprising on? And when the uprising does come, it'll be because we can't work together. You know what I'm saying? And then we're fighting for resources. So I don't know. Just like I use like sports analogies. You know, you've been bumming it up on the court. You practice terrible, but now in a game 7 situation, we need you to go out here and get 30. How likely is that going to happen? You couldn't do it when there wasn't any pressure, let alone, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. So my thing is just sit this joint out. Do for you and yours, protect your peace. Try to strive, help, maybe lose weight, maybe run a little bit, get in the gym, keep your mind right. Don't let people play with you. Don't let people emotionally trigger you, whether in real life or on the TV or through, whatever the algorithm is feeding, such as on, YouTube and social media and whatnot. Because it's all an energy harvest. And I gotta keep oil in my lampstand. You know what I'm saying? Because I am prone, if I'm not cognizant of it, to burn out, putting out fires that have no danger of affecting me any. So I'm constantly, such as I'm sitting here by the water, just reflecting, staying on top of myself, seeing where my energy is going and being diverted, what's pulling from my energy, what gives me energy, you know what I'm saying? What keeps me in this fight for the long haul, you know, running this race with endurance, pacing yourself, knowing when to kick it up a notch, knowing when to fall back, knowing when to grind, knowing when to, rest, you know what I mean? Just like the sun go up and down, there's a balance to everything, which has been kind of hard for me to find, but I've gotten a whole lot better at it. Because left up to me, I'd have already been free. I have the knowledge, resource to do so, but I'm not permitted to do so. I always use the analogy when Paul was hey, what's up, Melanie Mom? Shalom. When Paul had the dream that he was to go to a certain place, and when he got there, the Spirit restricted him from speaking and then sent him somewhere else. So I'm actually in this space of like, and I've been in it coming out of my own wisdom and intellect, which I believe to be valid, but I'm being, I wouldn't even say tested, groomed into a greater level of obedience. It's not our will, but it's His will. You see what I'm saying? So as a soldier spiritually is going up the ranks in basic training and certain specialty trains in the spiritual sense, right? I'm no good to the Most High unless I listen to Him. You know what I'm saying? Even if it don't make sense to me. My whole 42 years on earth ain't made no sense. But now looking back on it with these new spiritual eyes, it does make sense. I was being groomed and prone to do what I'm doing now and be in the world, but not of it. And it get very vexing. Like, while I was thinking about this as well, how the vast majority, if not all of our issues come from um, worldly pursuits or worldly desires. Love not the world nor the things of the world. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of struggle with that to some degree for just certain personal goals and aspirations that have to take place in the world, whether it be financially for the purpose of resources or um, brotherhood, companionship, things of that nature. But I've gotten a whole lot better with that, submitting my life, the track, and what I'm permitted to have and what's taken away to His sovereign will. Because as He's shown me, even though I might not understand at the time, now I get it. Now I get all the isolation for over a decade, for the most part. In a time where everyone's becoming socially codependent, I've been groomed out of that. But at the time, it ain't make no sense. And I talked about on here, at one point, it seemed like I was invisible. Like I would literally stand next to people and they couldn't feel me, or they didn't, or when they turned to look, they were like, "Oh, I didn't know you were standing there." I'm like, huh? You know what I'm saying? Um, how my journey has been very arduous and having to deal with a lot of delays and repeated disappointments, just doing regular stuff everybody else does. Work a job with no significant criminal history. How come I can't get no job? He was teaching me to be resourceful. He was teaching me, or he was proning out me that I didn't know was there, my self-value in relation to anything external, such as a job, title, finance, so on and so forth. When all those things are a resource, but they're not the source. You see what I'm saying? Because I never remember going hungry when I had little to no money. And when things popped up, as I routinely talk about, somehow the money manifested, or it was right on time, or whatever, whatever. So it seems as though as long as I keep stepping on the path, see, I don't understand everything I need to know, but it's like I pick up the knowledge as long as I stay on the straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying? And by no means am I perfect, but I'm now easily correctable. I don't take, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, I made a genuine mistake based on not having all the information. I just learn from it. It's not something I beat myself up over. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point it felt like I was walking a tightrope, and I can't afford to make a mistake. But how else will you? I ain't talking about necessarily overtly sin or anything along those lines. You make a mistake, like even fatherhood. I have to constantly adjust to ever as my daughter grows up and her personality and so on and so forth. I have to constantly adjust, constantly adapt. And it seems as though spiritually, if you view my content and whatever, leg of the journey you're on, as far as your personal and spiritual development, it's seemingly becoming exponential. Like, I don't necessarily think the same way I did 2 weeks ago. I'm still me. I'm being, dare I say, transformed. And I have no power in it other than to embrace it. Now, I can reject it, but reject it and do what? Go into the world that's crumbling, that that's toxic, and all this. Like, it's amazing. And I read this in the good word where, and it's always stuck out to me, where it was talking about how you will eat no or drink no poisonous thing, by no means harm you. You got to understand, everything we eat, absorb here in Babylon is poison. Everything is meant to weaken your immune system, weaken you spiritually, weaken you mentally, so that you can fall more a greater propensity to fall into temptation. That's all over the place. But if you walk the straight and narrow, You ain't gotta worry about it for the most part, other than the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the desires of this life. I done kinda, I mean, I still have it, but I'm not hard off on it, or I feel like my life isn't what it should be if I don't obtain certain things that I think are, noble and harmonious and so on and so forth. I had no, it's amazing. Like, I just seen my father today, and he told me in so many words, how he worded it, and it wasn't like a backhand compliment or nothing. It was just like my growth. Nobody seen it coming, including me. But once I submitted, then I naturally grew up. Such as, and I know I ain't even talking about what I was talking about, but as like, let's say you're adolescent, you don't tell yourself to grow 6 inches over the summer or for your voice to get deeper. It just naturally happens as you're doing what you're supposed to do. But everything now is meant to stunt our spiritual growth, take our, distract us. This week has been it was a very spiritually irritating week. You know what I'm saying? I was very tired. I didn't sleep well. Had a lot of appointments I had to make, keep. I was moving and grooving and so on and so forth. But I was very irritated. But I believe the spiritual irritation was coming as a natural spiritual growing pain. Now I'm, in a space where I have to take more people into account. I have to lead others um, based on their skill sets. You know what I'm saying? I have to be a greater level of stewardship. You know what I'm saying? So in all that, to get back to my original talking point, that's my main mission, my main focus until I get other orders, and they'll come whenever he send them down. But getting all wrapped up into, I was thinking about this as well. I had seen Rhetoric, the God Vlad TV, and the brother Lord Jamar from the group Grand Nubian. Supposedly they had a falling out 5 years ago, and now they're back together, and people have their opinion of it or whatever the case may be. I really don't knock the man, and here's why. Because here in Babylon, until this falls apart or we're exiled out of this, there's always going to be this symbiotic relationship between us and our white counterparts. We're almost interwoven at this point. The economy, let's say, okay, Vlad is a proverbial, let's say, white man who makes his money in a black culture, right? Whatever you want to call that. He can't make money unless he interviews black people. But black people can't get necessarily um, the exposure they need unless they go to him. It's all right. So I don't really have no negative opinion on either which way. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I was hired by a brother, but he works under the authority of the county health department, but that's ran by, Caucasian. It is what it is. But like wherever my situation at, I just try to flow in it. Now would I like to have my own business? Do I make strides in that area? Indubitably. Um, but as it currently stands, um, I'm fully content with my plot in life as I can continue to strive forward holistically for the betterment of my family. That's what's giving me all the reputable, or not reputable, but all the tangible attributes needed. Like the first step led to the second step, that led to the third step. I can't miss a step. I'm just on whatever step I'm on this personal journey. And I believe if you check, like, just, you might not have the best job, best living situation, whatever the case may be. Just gracefully endure. There is a strength in gracefully enduring. That's a fruit of the spirit. Self-control, not allowing yourself to be antagonized by, let's say, things that are meant to get an emotional reaction out of you. Such as, when one of our fellow brothers, let's say gets unalive at the hands of, let's say the police or whatever the case may be. You put yourself in their shoes or the family and you get an emotional reaction, right? But I truly believe that nowadays those things are actually set forth to get your energy going in that direction as they try to instigate, which they made moves about, the coming race war, which I come to discover through and I had inklings about this. I checked out Truth Unedited. Actually, I didn't get around to send it till this morning. Um, that what we're seeing take place, there's nothing new under the sun. It's all the beef between Jacob and how's the word? Esau, from the womb. That hatred is still playing out now. I'm honest. I used to think Esau was the proverbial white man, but that's not the case. Esau, they were both in the room. There were two separate nations, and as they went forward, um, they were both what we consider Jewish. However, they leaned and intermingled more than the let's say the tribe of Jacob, right, or the lineage of Jacob rather. So Esau, during the time of Maccabees, don't quote me on this, they more so assimilated to Roman culture, so on and so forth. So they would be more of your Sadducees, your Pharisees, and those people. You know what I mean? Where Jacob, like they don't really have issues. Like in a modern day context, Esau would be your entertainers, your boule members, those type of people who have a hatred for regular common folk who come into the knowledge of the truth. Like all your let's say Marcus Garvey's, the Nation, they all have Freemasonic origins. Again, just puppeteered, trying to subvert awakening before it actually happens and get ahead of it to divert those who are awakening and funnel them into these groups and so on and so forth. That's why I'm like, well, every time I would try to, let's say, not necessarily join a group, but ingratiate myself to brothers who, let's say, have certain knowledge or a certain belief system or so on. It's just never worked. Not saying it won't work, as we go forward. But I'm like, well, why can't this happen? Or why does it seem to be blocked or restricted? Now come to discover that those people are basically the Hebrew Israelite version of the Christian church. They just have more of a masculine rhetoric and rah rah rah, but they're all puppeteered by the same folk, playing both sides against the middle. That's why I don't give my energy to them. And I always wonder, I'm like, that don't seem like if Yeshua was here, would he be on the city corner yelling at white folk? No. All that hatred, have they done stuff? Yeah, but I've never seen this or anybody moving hate or their own vengeance. You know what I'm saying? And the plight we find ourselves in now is by our own doing. So if anything, you should turn that anger towards yourself and try to be a better follower of the way. And that's what I try to do. It's enough energy just staying on top of myself and not yielding to temptation or that be very subtle. I don't know if I can hear that. See, my temptation, I don't know if y'all can hear me. See, my temptation is not of the world or let's say to go to Hollywood or anything like that. My temptation is to go ahead of the Most High's timing, like Peter. My temptation is to facilitate my own dreams, goals, and aspirations by my own hand. But then technically, if I were to do that, and I don't know I'm not there, if I were to do that, then I might get egotistical. Then that might turn into a drug, and then I might that might turn into a drug, and then I might get addicted to my own power. When in reality, I ain't got no power other than the power he gave me. I got the power to stay off drugs now, but when I tried to get off drugs on my own accord, it never worked. It didn't work until I submitted to the process. Then again, like I said, the process gave me all the skill set to deal with stuff I didn't know I was about to run into. Like as I like to look at it, having the offer to sell out handed to me, which was like a supervisor's position, but you got to overlook all this stuff that vex you. It's not even, it don't even vex me. It do, but I'm seeing how it affect other people. So can you turn a blind eye out of that? No. And I went on about my business. Well, what you gonna do for work? I don't know, but I ain't gonna do that. Pass that test, and he sustained me. And it feels good, especially in this era where they're knocking masculinity or distorting what that actually is and all that. It feels good to not give in the face of overwhelming pressure. It feels good to go to sleep knowing I fought the good fight and I ain't compromised. Not because I'm a douchebag, but because my belief system that has been honed by the Most High won't allow me to do it. I couldn't do it if I wanted to. My lips would probably stop working. You know what I'm saying? But this is just a little quick live. I try to be consistent. Some channel updates. I'm kind of working on a quote unquote studio, and I'm working in carved out time to actually make more detailed notes. I've been working on my editing skills, So instead of just popping on here, I'll give y'all a little something extra. Because even with everything else, I'm still trying to grow and evolve in anything I set my hand to. I want to thank those that like, share, subscribe. I hope and pray, your situations are stabilized, if not getting better. And if you're going through something, gracefully endure till it breaks. Don't let it break you. You just don't break, and then eventually get the breakthrough. And on that note, I'm going to holler at y'all, baby. One love. Ooh,